All right, welcome back to Statement Games Live. My name's Nathan. I'm joined with Mark. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing all right. Got a couple of things kind of going on this morning. I'm putting a new bathroom in the basement, so my water is currently shut off for the time being. So I really haven't had an opportunity to shower today. So coming in a little scruffy to today's show. I apologize here, but with that said, here the way I look at it, it's pretty simple. When you're making picks at like 83.3% for 2021, and you continue to dominate the making picks segment, and we'll touch upon all that fun stuff here, I feel that you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. So if I want to, maybe drink a little, sparkling water, I can do it on this show here. I got my victory combos, over here as well. So don't shower, drink, eat during Statement Games Live. Everything is all good and fair in love and war. What do you think?
Well, yeah. Well, so outside of the smells from your end, why should the audience be watching this show?
All right. Well, Statement Games Live represents the most innovative alternative fantasy sports podcast and live stream in the industry. Of course, we're backed by StatementGames.com, which is a brand new fantasy sports platform. Been seen on networks like ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. And on the show, me and you, we go through a lot of different topics here. We cover hot takes and things that have taken place in the sports world this past week here. Of course, we're emerging entrepreneurs in the sports space here. We got a lot of good insights and stories on what we're going through as entrepreneurs in the sports space. And let's see here. We touch upon some things that are, new and emerging within the gambling, world or gaming space here. And then in addition to that, last but not least here, we're going to give some people an opportunity to win some hard-earned cash by playing Statement Games alternative fantasy sports. So that's why you should be listening.
There you go.
And throw on top of that here, I'm also making, picks at anywhere between 83 to 85% so far in 2020. So don't listen. What do you want from me? I'm giving you an opportunity to win money. We're sharing some cool stories, and I'm fucking hot. So that's from the picks perspective. So that's what I'm looking at this week.
Yeah, not so much from the hygiene perspective, but for everyone watching the show, subscribe to the channel, give the show a thumbs up, leave a comment with how you like the show, what you think of Mark's showering regimen, whatever, how badly I'm picking. Which, speaking of all of that, let's go into the picture review.
There is light at the end of the tunnel here. There is some light from your perspective. So just like last week and the week before, a lot of good, which is great. A lot of not so good. So let's kind of go through it here. We'll start with the good. And we'll start kind of like with you this week here, because when people deserve credit, they should actually get credit. So we'll start right into the bonus section.
Okay.
We had a bonus section of making picks. Championship game, Ohio State versus Alabama. When we take a look at your picks here, Alabama over 42.5 points. That nailed it. That's correct. Alabama plus 7.5. They won by 28 points here. Completely, blew the pants off of Ohio State. Good job on that. And you completely nailed the Mac Jones pick of over 29.5 completions. And think about this for a second, right? This is not like Tuskegee State that they're playing here. This is the national championship game here. Mac Jones goes 36 for 45, 464 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
It was good.
Absolutely nuts. So 3 for 3 there. When we also take a look at my picks in the national championship game here, I not to toot my own horn, but I did a pretty good freaking job as well. If you want to call being perfect, well, that's what I should start referring to myself as. So I sneaked out the under 76.5 points here. I was actually nervous. I actually woke up the next morning realizing that I hit that pick here. So I had the total points under 76.5 points. I was correct. Final score, Ohio State 24, Alabama 52. Complete total of 76 points. Completely nailed the Devontae Smith pick of over 90.5 receiving yards. He was 12 receptions, 215 yards, 3 TDs, and basically didn't really play in the second half. Complete freaking all-star performance for the Heisman Trophy winner. I also had Justin Fields under 2.5 TD passes. So from Justin Fields, Ohio State perspective, 17 for 33, 194 yards, 1 TD, and no interceptions. When we get back into our main making picks segment, so everyone's good. 3 for 3.
Jump in there real quick to say that we won that contest. We got.
And I was thinking about that, and we had. I was like, I should. I always try and remind myself to snap a picture of like the final picks, like the next day, and I just. That's on me. I completely kind of forgot it. I'm not sure if you have it or something like that, or if it's still in your.
Let me see if I can.
Your standings, but yeah, we completely kicked the shit out of everybody. What was it? Contest 5, national championship game.
I believe so. I remember getting the update the next day with the winning, and here it is. Congrats on winning. Scoring has been updated. Let me see if I can jump into this real quick. I do know that I had picked the kicker for one of the teams, and he ended up having COVID, or
that's why
not
you
having COVID, but had to.
How did the system score it? Did we mark it wrong, or was it incorrect?
Wrong. Yeah.
So both picks were kind of not marked wrong here. Yeah, I didn't actually realize that the kicker was out. I mean, I wasn't even looking at it, but
yeah,
we'll see.
This looks like that. Weird. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through and find it. There's not a whole lot.
All right, so you keep kind of like you're looking for that here. I'll touch upon the. Let's see here. We also made a main segment of making picks on the wild card weekend, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington football team. If we go through my picks here, we'll start with the good before making our way over to the bad. I had the Washington running backs combined over a half of a touchdown. So my boy J.D. McKinnis, a whopping 5 yards on 2 carries, but on one of those 2 carries, he found the end zone. So I was right on that one. I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will not win by over 8.5 points. Let's see here. Quick math here. Tampa Bay 31, Washington 23, 31 minus 23. That's a difference of 8. I had 8.5. That's another big winner for Team Marc here. The one that I did get wrong here, I had Chris Goodwin and Antonio Brown over 10.5 receptions. I think I counted a good 3 drops by Goodwin. But even when you kind of like add that up to, I'm sorry, what did I have? 7, 8, 9. Yeah, two receptions by Brown for a total of 9 receptions here. I would have won that anyway. 9 total receptions. I had the over 10.5 combined receptions here. That was not right. On your hand, Washington QB under 226 yards passing was one of your picks. Heineke, kid played pretty well. Did you watch a good majority of that game? Tampa Bay, Washington?
Yeah, it was actually a decent game. It
played really well. I was actually very impressed with what he actually did. But 26 for 55, 306 yards passing, 1 TD, 1 INT. Washington football team, you had the under 2.5 sacks. They finished the game with actually 3 sacks. And you had a Ron Gronkowski pick of over 3.5 receptions. No receptions. No receptions in a playoff game here. So it looks like he's having a little trouble finding some touches in the Brady-led offensive machine. A lot of skilled players, a lot of good players on that team. Hard to distribute the ball evenly to everybody. So that's what we're looking at. So for the weekend here, or for the week, 5 for 6 for me, 3 for 6 for you. Bringing the total up for the year, Marc is now officially 10 for 12, making picks at 83.3%, which was the same exact percentage from last week. Pretty hard to stay at that number, but heck, I did it. From your perspective, although you did post up another goose egg here, 3 for 6, 50%. So if we take a look at your average from the week before, 31.3%, you're now making picks up to at a rate of 41.6%. So we're still below 500. We still got some work to do here, but let's stick with the positive here. We're talking about a 10% or a 10-point swing towards the upside for Team Nate.
Not going down.
Right.
But so to go back real quick, because I was able to find that contest, and I think this is important also for our listeners so they know what happens in this situation. So, okay. For the 4 picks that I chose myself outside of the show, being part of the IDP guys, I didn't pick any turnover or sacks in the top 6. So I went for 2 sets of turnovers, sacks picks. At number 4, I had Alabama defense over 1.5 turnovers. This includes fumbles and interceptions. They didn't have any, which I was surprised. Let me see. Let me just pull that up again. Defense. They had no interceptions and no fumbles. And then Ohio State defense under 2.5 sacks. That was correct. And so before I get into the kicker, the last one was Alabama defense over 2.5 sacks. Alabama only had 1 sack. So that turned out to be wrong. And then Blake Hobel over 1.5 field goals. So in this situation, it marked the under for Blake Hobel correct, even though he didn't actually play. But if I go and look at the kicker for this is Alabama or Ohio State, who Blake Hobel plays for, that was 1 for 1 for field goals. So there was still under 1.5. So it looked like it just, instead of marking both of them wrong because the player didn't play, is it going based, and this is a question for you, is it going based off that stat, just turns it into team kicker?
I don't know the answer to that one. I'm not exactly sure what the team did. Technically, what the system does is that if somebody is listed as one of the picks, but they don't play in the game, like they physically don't play, it will mark both the over as well as the under pick that's associated with that player as incorrect. But what you're describing here doesn't sound like it did that in this specific situation. So that's a good spot with you. If you want to throw that over to me, I got to figure out why that did what it did.
No, I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, it would make sense in my mind that because it's not like a wide receiver. A wide receiver doesn't play. You don't really give the under because he didn't play. But there's only one kicker for a team. So
you probably automatically got the other kicker.
Position group. Yeah. It defaulting to a position group would make sense. So
gotcha.
I don't know.
But hey, you know what? It's worth taking a look at. We'll see.
But yeah, I did want to say that, outside of the 6 that we both got combined correct, I went 1 of 4. So, but we still won the contest.
Well, 6. I mean, so 7.
The top 6 were correct. It was 48
I mean, obviously,
points.
Well, we had 6, but we had 10, 9, 8, 7, all correct. So those are the big point ones here. And even though that we had 3 incorrect, they were ranked towards the bottom of our list. So in this particular case, it really didn't kill us that much, and we were still able to pull out the big W.
Yep, definitely. So with that, let's jump over, and so you got some hot topics to talk about. Let's hear them.
I wanted to. I mean, a lot of things have taken place in the sports world this week. And there was a couple of different things that I think tie in nicely from what we do kind of like, as a business. And it's very applicable kind of like, in the sports world as well. So I wanted to kind of like, paint this scenario to you. So obviously you're you're doing kind of like what you're doing with Statement Games, and you're also doing what you're doing from your design business as well as the IDP guys. And let's just say that, hey, you know what, you're trying a lot of different things here, and you came across this one. Let's call him Joe, and he's a blogger, right? And he's awesome. He spent 6 years at ESPN or CBS, whatever it is, and you're able to land him, right? And you know what? A couple problems came up with him in that first particular year, but he's Joe. He's from CBS and ESPN. He's got credentials and all that other stuff here. But, brand new kind of year, you turn the page, you work things out with him, and he starts cranking out content and articles for you. Next thing you know, you're driving, I don't know, an additional 50 to 100,000 page views for the IDP guys every single day or every single week here. And then kind of Joe decides, hey, you know what? And, granted, I don't want to turn this into politics or anything like that here. There's an event that takes place like it did last week at our nation's capital. And he just says, hey, you know what? I'm so disturbed by these events. Just don't want to work for you. I just don't want to work right now. What do you do as a business owner? And of course, I'm tying that back into the whole Kyrie Irving drama that's taking place with the Brooklyn Nets. Talented player. Obviously, guy has the ability to make a tremendous impact on a team. Credentials at the wazoo. Doing kind of a great job when he actually plays here. There's just something that's off with this guy. So I'm making you obviously the owner, GM, whatever you want to call it, of the Nets, and I wanted to kind of tie that back into how would you react, or what would you do as a business owner if this was somebody that was acting like this at your business?
That's that's tying it into like what I would specifically do kind of really makes it a difficult decision, because I mean, okay, so as a business owner, and generally, I mean, everyone looks, I on this stage, not to get too far into politics, but like they look at a business owner as like all they care about is money and themselves and whatnot. But like, you really have a responsibility for the people that work under you, like to be profitable, and those profits going back into salaries and wages, from your top executives all the way down to, if you were a basketball owner or whatever, down to the people who run the food stands and clean the stadium and stuff. And when you are losing out on money, like that's not good. But I think you'd have to evaluate the situation as far as like, I'll be honest, I don't fully know the Kyrie Irving news or situation, what he's doing. But as far as like, if it's a social justice thing, I guess you got to see if you're in line with that, and if maybe it's something you want to allow the whole team to get into, and then it becomes a movement and you support that, or if it's just like someone being crazy. Sometimes you just gotta cut ties and let them go.
Let me add this additional wrinkle into the mix here, right? You're I don't know, let's just call it Nathan is taking a look at his books. In addition to all this stuff here, you're paying him $250K a year. You still got to pay him because you signed the contract with him,
right?
And he's not working. You paying him? Regardless if you agree with the issue or not here. I mean, of course, you have obligations and responsibilities to your business. And it's a very kind of tough situation. On one hand, if
are you losing money by
you're losing revenue because the guy's not
him?
kind of like, you're losing money because the guy's not writing and you're paying him. And if you basically tell him to go punt, you're not necessarily making up the difference, and you're losing out kind of like on an opportunity to expose the brand, generate more page views, increase more sales through his kind of efforts here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to it's like a cost analysis. Like, is it costing me more to keep him on the books, him not working, or what happens if I tell him to, kick rocks and then I get negative PR that affects my bottom line even
Negative
more.
PR. You're he's not working. You got your dancing shoes on today, pal.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like
you're breakdancing here.
I don't really. Okay,
you're
take
doing
down
the moonwalk.
a Colin Kaepernick kind of situation where like there was all of this bad press about the NFL blackballing him. Now, whether or not he was blackballed, whether or not he didn't have the talent to make a team, like you don't really know. But by, cutting a player in such a way, like you could effectively start a movement against yourself. So I don't, like I said, I have to read up on the Irving specific situation. But
this is the way I'm kind of like looking at it, and yeah, again I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm just having like a little bit of fun with the situation here, but at the end of the day here, from a business perspective, your number one priority and your number one kind of like concern is to this living, breathing element. And make no mistake about it here, this is a living, breathing element. Whether you want to call it IDP guys, statement games, whatever it is, and regardless of how minuscule the business is in the grand scheme of things, from in comparison to like a statement games like the NFL or anything like that here. I know where my place in line is, or the NBA or anything like that here. And we've touched upon this in past shows as well. To me, culture is extremely important.
Yeah.
Setting the right kind of tone and the right message, whether it's in a locker room or kind of like, in an office space here. I can't afford the backlash amongst my other teammates who are coming into work here every single day, putting in time and effort to actually, have them say, hey, what the hell is fucking Marc doing here, letting Joe get away with all this stuff over here? Meanwhile, I'm breaking my ass. Now, I understand that, you can't really compare somebody who's got the credibility and bringing in a tremendous amount of, value through his day-to-day performance as somebody else here. But like I said here, the culture aspect of things is extremely important. If Kyrie Irving and things like that wants to make a stand and walk away from basketball, he's made a tremendous amount of money, and go, join BLM or whatever kind of like movement that he wants to join. God bless him. Go ahead and do it here. But the second that you sign your name to a dotted line, and I'm not talking about from a contract perspective, I'm talking about it's go time. The season started here. We've been practicing for like a couple of months here, where we've been working on a product, and now this thing is kind of launched here, and we got to get this thing out there and make it work. Come hell, kind of like high water here. Once it's go time, meaning the season started, you've put in kind of the work here. You have an obligation, and you owe it to your teammates as well as your organization or your company to work for, to see the project through. You want to leave after that, that's fine. But you're gonna tell me that something like this wouldn't have come up here if there was no march on the Capitol or no storming of like the Capitol building? In my opinion here, he would have found something that's taking place right now that would have removed him from the situation, and he would have exploited it until he felt like he was ready and wanted to actually come back here. I think what he's doing is completely selfish. I don't agree with it. As a business owner, I wouldn't actually tolerate it. Then again, I have a pretty big ego, and in the back of my mind is saying, hey, you know what? If I have the ability to attract and recruit a talent like a Kyrie Irving or a talent like Joe here, it's going to suck in the short term here, but I'll find another one. There's nobody that can't be replaced here. So those are just some of my high-level thoughts here. I'll kick it back over to you.
I've got two thoughts on this. First off, is in a contract like this, wouldn't the money be tied to like playing? Take the NFL.
He's getting paid $400,000 a game
per game that he plays, right? He has to play.
It's the same. Again, I shouldn't actually say that here, because I don't know. I mean, I don't want to come across as I know exactly what's in his contract or what the procedures that the Nets organization will be taking, kind of like moving forward. I'm sure the league is going to have something kind of like to do with it here. But it's just like, all right, you know what? Well, I've been playing for this team here, and like Dinwiddie this year got hurt. He's out. So it's not like he doesn't want to play. He physically can't because he was injured.
Injury stuff is built into your contract because
this is one of the things that it's just.
The other thing is,
he's excused himself from the team.
If you've built yourself, like, basketball is a platform. It's a way that these guys, these athletes, have been able to rise to where they're at, how they get their money, how they get their fame. When you take that away, these guys no longer have that platform. They're famous because of what they've done. And I mean, when you retire, you still maintain that, but you're essentially just like deplatforming yourself to go and I don't know. It's a interesting situation for me, and I think that there is something to being able to utilize that platform, and I feel like the NBA is allowing all of, there hasn't been any sort of like, no, don't say that, don't do this. They're embracing the social justice cause, and
when you
wouldn't
take a
you want
look
to
at
stay in there and keep that going?
I mean, if you take a look at and I love him as a basketball player. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he actually does, kind of like off the court and some of the things that he actually stands for. But take a look at like a LeBron James. You talk about a guy that has an extremely huge platform, and he uses that platform to communicate whatever message that he kind of needs to get out here, and that's great. That's awesome. But you know what he also does here? He shows up for work. He plays basketball. Right. He doesn't take nights off. He plays every single game, and he's driven to kind of win a championship here. So I think there's a lot that needs to be said and has to be said kind of about that. There's a way of going about and doing things, and still kind of fulfilling the obligations that you've already gone ahead and committed to. Kyrie Irving has committed to playing basketball this year. This week he's at his dad's birthday party. He's at his sister's kind of birthday party. He's missing time away from kind of his team. Yeah. So it just doesn't kind of sit well with me here. And there's a lot of kind of athletes kind of these days that they get like a bad rap here. And I'll tie this kind of back to football. I mean, take a look at what took place this past weekend with Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger and things like that, right? Elderly kind of people flat out bawling their eyes out after losing their, and being eliminated from the playoffs like last week here. I mean, you're talking about people who are making millions of dollars per year to a point where they're being brought to tears for losing a game here. That's how passionate and how, intertwined with the sport that they actually are here. So it's things like that you don't necessarily see. And then you kind of see other kind of guys that, in my opinion, just have the wrong kind of attitude. It's like, all right, well, I don't feel like playing this weekend. You got guys who just kind of like, at the tail end of their career, might not actually play again here, and they'd kill for the ability to continue kind of playing the game at a high level, especially in their prime, like Kyrie Irving is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting how some athlete, respond to playing, and I mean, you always see it with these athletes who are close to retirement, like how much they appreciate the game and being able to continue to play. And I don't know, it's everyone's got their own work ethic, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll have to kind of see what happens here. But that whole Kyrie Irving story that's taking place this week, and now you can add on the fact that they just landed James kind of Harden. That whole story and how this thing is going to mesh together. I'm just completely fascinated by it. I mean, obviously, I have an interest in what takes place on the court, but even more importantly, I'm interested to see how this whole storyline plays out here. Harden, Durant, Irving, how they're meshing together here. And, I'm obviously in the metropolitan kind of tri-state area here, and I've had an opportunity to, take a look at guys like Jared Allen and things like that, mesh together and come up in the net system. And now they're gone. LeVert, Allen, gone. These were backbone players, and where I don't know, give me 10 guys like that, and I'll live with the consequences as opposed to trying to mesh together a guy in Harden who, I don't know, cried his way out of Houston, complete baby, unprofessional, overweight, not dismissing kind of his team, all that other stuff here. And then you also have, Kyrie, which I don't know, just a little bit of a freaking head case to me here. I mean, I'd rather go to war with the people that I know are going to give me the effort day in, day out. And where, yes, I understand that the other guys, you can get, a result that's 100 times what you're getting kind of right now. But from a consistency perspective, I'm not sure if you're going to get it, day in, day out.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so you had one more thing here, and I really wanted to get to it on Doug Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went off on him like a little bit here, and I get just another story that I was fascinated with. I mean, we were kind of like ripping on him what the heck he was actually doing last week. I didn't think in a million years they would actually be fired or let go from his job, and now you kind of like see that there's a lot of things that are being concealed, hidden, I don't know what you want to call it, just not kind of like leaked and things like that from what's going on from an Eagles kind of perspective. So I wanted to throw that back over to you because I actually think because it seems like it's Howie Roseman, right? Is the GM of Philadelphia, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
And it also looks like Doug Peterson. I believe they have the same agent. So I think that's kind of like one of the reasons as to why you're not getting more to the story of what's taking place kind of like in Philadelphia. But I also heard, Troy Aikman kind of came out, I believe he was on the Michael Irvin podcast, talk about how it looks like Peterson wanted to back Jalen Hurts moving forward at the quarterback position. And you have the owner and Loria look at it from a perspective of, look, I just freaking paid or am paying, Carson Wentz all this freaking money here. We're moving forward with Wentz. So I just thought that was, an interesting kind of take. Wanted to throw it over to you to see if you actually had any thoughts here. And if that's the case, what do you do when, again, you're a business owner, you have a certain set of principles and directions that you want the company to go in, but you've put a key guy in charge to run a specific division or aspect of your business, and now this guy wants to potentially go in a completely different direction that you want to go in. What do you do as an owner? But before you answer that here, I understand what Troy is actually saying, but I think it's complete horseshit. Because if that's the case here, it's not like Jalen Hurts is a 5-year veteran. He's a rookie. And if that's the case here, why are you pulling him at the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter? Let the kid kind of play out. I mean, wouldn't this be part of his development process if you're really looking to move forward with Hurts, kind of like, moving forward? I can say, hey, look, you know what? I know, Hurts is my guy. He needs the experience. Primetime game here, against Washington. Let's see what the kid can do in terms of closing out like this game here. But no, I have enough data and information on Hurts and we're 100% lockstep and barrel. I know that he's my guy moving forward. So I'm going to pull him for a practice squad quarterback and go
I have
from there.
a theory.
Let's hear.
I'm connecting the dots here. So let's say, okay, you've got the GM who wants to go with Carson Wentz. The GM knows that if Jalen Hurts goes through that game and wins and finishes well, so they wouldn't be able to make it into the playoffs, but that would be a final win, and that would stack up multiple wins in a row for Jalen Hurts. How do you come back and bench him the next year? From a fan perspective, all the fans are going to be on board. So you pull Jalen Hurts, and now you have that small window of doubt that allows Carson Wentz to come back. But Doug Peterson, if he's really on board with Jalen, I mean, if you're going with your coach versus your GM, the GM is probably looking at this just from a payment perspective, which is bad. That is not how you want to look at it. You got to look at it from a talent perspective. If you go with your, only playing the guys that have big salary, that doesn't mean they're any good. And Carson Wentz is showing that he can't finish a season. He can't do well, at that position. He's losing his leadership in the locker room. And here comes Jalen Hurts, who, first off, he's cheap. He's a rookie, and wasn't he a later where was he drafted? I want to say he was like a mid-round, so it's not like he's getting those, big rookie contracts. So you cut your, I don't know what you do with Carson Wentz. He's an expensive
that's a
coach.
big ticket. I mean, it's not like you can very easily move Wentz,
Right. But you can utilize Wentz's experience to help Jalen Hurts, who becomes your future, who becomes, next couple years. You've got at least what? He was just drafted. So you're looking at 3 more years on his rookie deal to figure it all out. You've got this year's picks to add some more talent around him. I really think that this is the dumbest thing the Eagles could have done. And as a Lions fan looking for a head coach, God, I want Peterson to be my coach.
That's actually not a bad idea.
That's the only guy that I would probably just explode over.
Before I hire Peterson to anything here, I need complete clarity on what the heck took place within that organization. Because if I find out that it was Peterson's decision to pull Hurts at the end of that third quarter, again going back to the whole culture thing, building a winning culture and things like that here, and where it's now known that it was his decision to tank that game here. That's not a guy that I want coaching my team here. However, if it comes out that, hey, look, you know what, I freaking, I took the bolt from my organization. I fully planned on playing Hurts. I got some type of signal or notification, during the game, right before the game, whatever, that, come hell or high water here, our job is to, get positioning for the draft here. That's a completely different story. And I actually probably would need some convincing from Peterson at that point here. Because even if I put myself in that situation and somebody told me to do it,
if that's the only negative thing for Peterson, if that's the only negative, this is the guy who ran Philly in the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, and I don't know, he's one of those coaches that I thought he was.
Do you look at him as the Super Bowl winning coach here, or do you look at him as the tanker? He's a big stain. In my opinion, that this is a huge stain on any particular coach. Any coach that comes out and where it's shown that he was not interested in doing everything that he could to win a football game here, in my particular opinion, is not somebody that I want running my organization or being part of my franchise.
But it would take a lot of convincing to me that would have been Peterson's decision, because the GM is the one that's making the drafting. So the GM's priority,
but it's the coach who controls the players on the field. Once you get the people on the field, it's.
But what I'm saying is, where's the motivation for Doug Peterson to tank? He's the coach. His motivation is to win every game. So he would have to be there'd have to be an outside force coming in and saying, do this, tank.
That's why I wanted an answer to that question before I actually decide to be hired. It would be what happened during that night. Is that move to remove your perceived quarterback of the future from that fourth quarter, your decision, or is that coming from an outside force?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised.
I think even if he ratted on his organization, I might have a problem with it as well, for him being a rat. This is a no-win situation for Peterson.
No, I think this is a big situation. This is a very good situation for Peterson to get payday from one of the teams looking for a head coach, because in my mind, Peterson is unblemished and one of the best prospects that there is available right now, especially because he's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's done it with his own style. It's not like he's come from a specific tree and he does it like he's this kind of coach or that kind of coach. He's on par with Sean McVay for me, as far as he can think on his feet, come up with something interesting, and take advantage of someone else's weaknesses. I think he just hasn't had the talent in Philly in a couple years since the Super Bowl run. And I think if he goes somewhere else, he's going to win another Super Bowl, and the Eagles are going to be crying for the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, I think
This
I
could
said
be
it
the
last
karma
week here. I
for
think
the Eagles.
Philadelphia is done. They will not win more than one game against the New York Giants in the next 5 years. We have to figure
Yeah,
out
I'm
how to
really
make
glad I
that bet
didn't
out.
take that bet now because I think you're right, especially if they don't have James Garrett.
All right.
I
So,
could see them signing Gase after this move. But all right, I think
I
we've talked
don't.
that to
Yeah, let's. I mean, man, we got a lot of stuff to get through here today. So,
death.
in other news, all right, let's just go through some statement games, kind of like in the news here. So, obviously, we have hockey that came back onto the statement games platform. Basically, alternative form of fantasy hockey available throughout the duration of the 2021 season. Want to send a little bit of congratulations to Musinski123. He was the overall tournament winner of game number one on Statement Games here, which was the Montreal Canadiens versus the Toronto Maple Leafs game here as a VIP member and the overall tournament winner of that specific contest. It was an additional 1,000 coins that was added to his account. Of course, the Statement Games VIP program is an annual subscription program that costs only $24.99 per year. As a VIP, you have the ability to pick up large buckets of coins that are redeemable for cash rewards. For details on how to become a VIP, just drop a comment in the comment section below or send us an email directly at marketing@statementgames.com. I also wanted to just give a nice little, warm welcome to end user is Josie. It's Josie. She's the newest member of the Statement Games VIP program. Want to wish her the best of luck throughout the duration of her 365-day membership. Of course, that began the day that she opted in, which was just a couple of days ago here. So another big week for Statement Games coming up here. We got another round of interviews taking place for Stadia Ventures. So everybody cross their fingers and wish us luck on that particular regard. And we also wanted to just kind of give a little shout out to the co-host of Statement Games Live, Nathan. We've been working for a while, but we kind of made it official this week. You're an official content contributor to the Statement Games Inc. company. Of course, we're a private company with a unique value position within the emerging fantasy sports and sports gaming sports gaming space. Our organization is registered with the SEC, and we've allocated about 10% of our organization's equity to stock options, and we plan on utilizing those stock options to attract talent and other, bloggers, vloggers, content creators, anybody that has an interest and has the ability to create good sports content. So, if you're interested in potentially getting a little piece of the Statement Games action, once again, just drop a comment below or send us an email directly to marketing@statementgames.com.
Nice. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
then I'll just go ahead and share my screen here. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it. Am I sharing my screen here? Let's see here. So from the beginning, we talked a little bit about it last week with the state of New York. It now looks like the state of Georgia is moving pretty rapidly into the legalization of sports gaming. So again, it's snowball effect. I think we're going to see more of this throughout the course of the year. Same principles as last week apply with the state of Georgia. It does not affect the State Games business model. We'll continue to focus on free-to-play games. But hey, you know what? It's just good to see that the industry is gaining kind of like a more momentum from a gaming perspective. On the Statement Games front here, we're going to be focusing in on casual sports fans who are probably interested in legalized gaming at some point here, but for whatever reason it may be, they're just not ready to fund real money gaming accounts. And hopefully Statement Games can fill that void by being a solid alternative. So I'll kick it back over to you. Any thoughts on what's taking place in the state of Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is while they're opening it up for legalized gambling, this also takes away the stigma of online sports gambling, and whether it's for real money or for what Statement Games offers, the free to play, I think this opens up and widens your target market. People that maybe weren't aware of the ability to do this now might be introduced to it. So obviously the gambling aspect widens, but just this becomes more integrated into our culture, and in so kind of raises the level of target market for statement games, for free to play, for all this stuff. It just creates more of a pie to get a piece of.
Yeah, we'll see. And I'll actually take this link. I'll drop it in the show notes as well, just in case anybody wants to go ahead and check it out here. But if you actually take a look at the article, this I don't think this is going to be something that drags its feet. I mean, the way that the article makes it sound here is it looks like this is something that can actually move pretty quickly and is getting a lot of momentum internally with the local and state kind of government in the state of Georgia here. So going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and also see how everything plays out in the state of New York. But I think we can all expect more stories like this to emerge as we get deep into 2021.
Yeah, and going back off of what I said last week, this is going to be a common theme, especially where there's cash-strapped states looking to get extra revenue. It kind of breaks down that barrier because they look at other states getting so many, like another $1 billion in revenue and taxes, and they can't afford not to do it.
Yep. That's a lot of news for 1 week, man.
Yeah. So let's jump into the feature of the week. You've got you wanted to talk a little bit more in depth on the referral feature on StatementGames.
Yeah, I think what we want to do, let me just, you want to pull up your screen real quick and just jump into kind of StatementGames, and then I'll actually just move back over to my slides. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let me just walk you through a couple of different things here. So upper right-hand corner, you see where it actually says refer a friend?
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and click on that, and then if you want, you can kind of kick it back over to me. So screens like this kind of appear by clicking the refer a friend button here. Anytime that you actually play a contest on StatementGames, after you make your 10 kind of selections, you'll see that text box kind of pop up here. We make it as simple and as easy as possible for you to make referrals to the StatementGames platform. It's a good little way to earn some additional coins into your account as well, when kind of considering that you're going to get coins for your referral. So it's just simple and easy. Now, I didn't want to do this as a live demo just because of the fact that you potentially have the ability to share real people's data. So these blue boxes over here, I'm blocking out personally identifiable data. But by clicking that refer a friend box here, you can actually see that we give you the ability to import your contacts from either Google, Yahoo, Hotmail, as well as an Outlook. So by hitting any one of these buttons, what StatementGames is going to do is you're giving us permission. We're taking a look. You're not sending anything yet here, but you're pulling up all of the people that you have within these address books, and it's populating in this little environment right here. Now, you have once this list pulls up, some people have a list of 10. I've seen other particular lists of thousands of people. Once this list pulls up, you have the ability to go ahead and check with a variety of different boxes, and you can see this is one of my lists here. You can just create a short little list of people that you want to go ahead and invite. You don't have to invite your whole list. You don't have to kick it out automatically, but you're going through and you're importing your contacts, and then you're cherry picking the people that you think would actually have fun playing this game with you. So whenever you actually see an opportunity to share StatementGames by getting people to play into a game that you're currently playing in, or maybe you've created a game and you want to play privately, you can actually go back to these lists and then physically just share it with the people that you have in this list over here. So the invite tab here, you're entering email addresses, manually. Share button, you have the ability to copy and paste a URL and share it with people. But these lists are great little tools here, and where you get the pop-up box. Instead of trying to think about who do you want to invite, who you want to play, you have a couple of these go-to contacts and lists. You hit the box, check off the people that you want to play. You send invite, and you're good. So again, it's a cool little feature. Similar things like this are of course available on the mobile website as well as the app here. but it is something that we're pretty proud of in terms of developing, and it's all kind of an effort to help you have fun with other people on a game that you're actually playing. So I wanted to share it with people, give a little bit of a background on what that feature is, how it looks, how it's accessible, and to encourage people to access it. It's there for your benefit, and we're trying to make these games as much fun as possible. And of course, we know that everything is a little bit better when you're playing with people that are passionate about sports just as you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But okay,
I
cool.
mean, what do you think?
Let's. Yeah, no, I think it's a great program, and you get bonus coins for anyone that registers based off your referral. So, and that goes towards the leaderboard too, if I'm correct.
That is correct. Yep.
So give
That's
yours,
correct.
if you need a little extra juice to get into, the top of the leaderboard, there you go. But yeah, so let's get over into the Nugget of Truth. Marc, you've got you had a rant yesterday on YouTube, and you wanted to carry it over. So
I thought it was good. I
bring it
didn't
up.
have that much of a rant on YouTube. I was just preempting people, and I was speaking in a way that people can properly understand what I was feeling at the moment.
Yep.
And I want to kind of transition that into this little segment, kind of right here. So every week we do our best to kind of give a little bit of nugget of truth, whether it's, hey, you know what, this is how I'm going a brand, or these are some of the challenges and celebrations that we're going through and looking at right now kind of as a company. And I'm not necessarily saying that I am, I don't know, the king of sales, but I've been poking around and have been doing different forms of sales and business development for 20 years. There's a lot of hard lessons that I've actually learned that I would actually like to go ahead and share. Some do's and some do nots here. And when I see things like this, I cringe. I'm not sure how you feel, but I'm sure you get solicitations and things like that. You've made some mistakes in the sales kind of world over here.
Yep.
I've actually just gotten bombarded with them. Pretty much, I guess it's got to be like the new year or something like that here. But it's literally like 2 or 3 of things like this, like per day. So I've blocked out people's names, but again, you and I are coordinating over here. I'm like this close. I'm like this close to pulling the trigger and putting some freaking people on blast. If I continue to see tactics like this being used, I'm going to lose my shit. So a couple of quick little stories, and this is all in the category of, guys, don't do this, because you're just kind of pissing kind of people off here. So this is an individual who's been trying to kind of sell me on a variety of different things for a while, and I can see what he's doing by showing that he's trying to show that he's adding value by making an introduction to somebody else from a business development perspective, or something, right? Here's kind of like the challenge. So basically it says, hi, Marc, please meet Calvin. Calvin, please meet Marc Solino with Statement Games. He actually calls it out, Marc Solino with Statement Games. Marc, Calvin is a good friend. We go back to the early days of mobile. Not necessarily ready to put my stamp of approval on that specific statement, but whatever, we'll see. Calvin needs some help with direct mail, and I recall you played in the space for some time. Okay, I'll let you guys take it from here. He's already calling out that I'm from Statement Games. Nathan, the last time that I checked, is Statement Games a direct mail organization?
Not that I know of. No.
You sure?
I
you sure
believe
about
it
that?
has something to do with games and not mail.
Now, I just want to go ahead and I want to pull up my LinkedIn profile. Now, if you go back to literally August of 2003 to 2006, you'll see that I was a very junior level account executive for an organization called Wyland Media. And you really have to kind of you got to dig down on this thing over here, right? And if you actually took it a step further and you did some research on Wyland Media, you can see that they actually play a role in the direct mail space right at the time they actually did, So the point that I'm trying to make here, he's making the introduction here, where if you just actually did a little research here and just used some common sense here, you realize, one, I'm not in the direct mail industry, and the last time that I was actually in the direct mail industry was close to freaking 20 years ago. So this particular type of introduction or response will never, ever get a response from me. And now I look at you as a fucking moron. I mean, am I wrong, or am I kind of like, going too hard on this guy?
No.
Does that make
I
sense?
think
Do you see how this makes yourself just drain credibility from yourself when you kind of like, pull things like this here? So I should have probably started this little segment over here, and I think we wanted to call it. I think you and I agreed. I mean, it sounds kind of simple, and you probably heard it a million times before. It's just know your audience. If you're trying to kind of like, develop and push the needle forward with certain things here, know who the fuck you're talking to. I'm not saying that I'm the governor of New York or president of the United States or anything like that here, and I'm sure you go through the same things too here. We're not rock stars, so to speak, as of yet, but we work pretty freaking hard at what we do, and our time is the most valuable asset that we possibly have right now. Mm-hmm. And for us to kind of deviate from what we need to do on a day-to-day basis to address something that I haven't been involved with in close to 20 fucking years is aggravating. What if I asked you, hey, you know what, Nathan? I know that you're up in Connecticut, and you bought a house up in Connecticut. I got a buddy who's thinking about moving to Connecticut, and I need you to take time out of your day here to talk about the benefits of Connecticut. How the hell does that benefit you in what you're doing today?
Right.
Are you a real estate agent? Do you sell mortgages? It's a completely different kind of spectrum. So, tidbit kind of number one, but there's more. I got more. You ready for more?
Keep it going. Let's dig into this.
All right. Here's a couple of additional messages. I'm going to start with this first one here. This actually came from, again, I'm sure this person is a wonderful person. I connected with them on LinkedIn. Seems like we had some mutual connections and things like that. And hey, you know what? From a LinkedIn perspective here, I do accept like a lot of connections. I always look at it from a perspective of you just never know who you're talking to. Why not kind of build up your network as much kind of as possible? You never know. I mean, who knows when you kind of run into things like that? The problem when you do things like that, you get crap like this. Mm-hmm. And I came really close to putting this person on blast, and I'll kind of tell you why. Let's first take a look at what they actually wrote. Hi, Marc. Thanks for connecting. Recent connection. Hope you were doing well and wish you a happy new year. We at Fortumo provide global payment coverage and help companies like Epic Games, GameLoft, and many others sell their services via telco payments and partnerships. This way, they're able to monetize every user with a mobile phone and reach more than 90% audience penetration in a variety of different markets, including Southeast Asia, Latin America, so on and so forth. Would you be available for a call to understand if we have potential to cooperate together? Again, I'm going to go back to my LinkedIn profile, and this is why this kind of really pisses me off. If you take a look, my last corporate job, I was a president of a company called Bango. Might not make a lot of sense to you guys here, but when you're sending things like this here, it's important to understand that Bango is one of the biggest competitors to Fortumo and one of my biggest competitors for a period of 15 freaking years. So when you're coming at me with a message of, hey, this is who we are and this is kind of what we do, and in this particular case here, I probably know more about Fortumo than this individual. Mm-hmm. And then also, when you take a look at, again, what I'm doing right now, which is the CEO and founder of StatementGames, you'll understand that we're a sports gaming platform, right? Focused here in North America, touching areas of NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, some other particular sports like golf and mixed martial arts and things like that here. It's pretty obvious to see, once you've done a little research here, that I'm a US-based company, right? What the hell do I give a shit about mobile payments in Latin America and Southeast Asia and all that other stuff? Mm-hmm. And plus, if you've taken a look at the message that StatementGames put out here, I'm a free-to-play sports gaming platform. What exactly am I selling it from a mobile payments perspective? Now, I can answer that because I know the business model and I know what we could potentially do in the future. But in this particular regard, again, in my opinion, it's somebody who really hasn't taken much time at all to understand who we are as a company, what we're doing, and was more interested in telling me about what they do as opposed to trying to help me solve a problem or overcome a challenge. So again, I'm going to throw it back over to you. In this particular case here, a little bit of a rant. Number 2, is Marc in the wrong, or am I kind of like blowing things out of proportion a little bit?
No, I think you've got this. I've been on LinkedIn for some time and only recently really optimized everything for my portfolio profile and all that stuff. And I get these things all the time. I want to say the worst one I ever got was someone that reached out to me that said that they are a web designer for podcasters and wanted to see if I was interested in purchasing a website from them. And I just was astonished by the fact that they had no idea if they had actually looked at my LinkedIn that I am a web designer.
Yep.
That does my own website. It's amazing how just spamming people are on that platform.
And then the last one that I kind of got here, I guess this is probably more along the lines of kind of what you got, or have actually seen here. I guess for me, it was just really like the icing on the cake. Once I actually saw this was the most recent one I actually got, which was as of what we're recording on a Friday here. This actually came in yesterday. Was just kind of like the final show. I was like, all right, you know what? I got to create like a little freaking segment kind of on this on Statement Games here, because in this particular case here, here's somebody in a long kind of like in a way here saying, hey, you know what? They've checked out Statement Games. They kind of like what we're doing here, and they thought it was interesting and are interested to see if we're actually would have an interest in making a mobile component of Statement Games. So it's almost like, well, you went to the website. Did you check it out? And if so, you didn't actually think to say, hey, you know what, let me just see if this site is compatible on a mobile device. And let's also just take this company name here, throw it into Google Play and Apple and see if any particular results comes up here. It's completely different. You said, hey, you know what, I've taken a look at your mobile application. I've looked at, I don't know, your About Us section over here. And I think with A, B, and C, and this quick little adjustment here, it could help you in areas of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Would you be interested in setting up a call to discuss it here? But this person actually goes so far as they're actually starting to freaking quote pricing on their development services and how cheap they are here. I've never even had a conversation with you. Again, I'm not interested in who you are. I don't want to sound like a jerk here, but this is the truth. This is the hard truth that people should understand. I don't care, and nor should you, about what somebody else is doing. You need to be able to articulate certain services that you're providing as an organization and position them in a way that's going to help another person achieve a desired result or a goal. And that's the way you got to kind of take a look at it. This nonsense, I guess they're doing it, so I guess it's some particular way, I guess it works. I mean, what do you think here? In my book here, it's not even a reply. It's not even worth me the effort of kind of like clicking one of these buttons that says like nope or not yet or no thank you. It's not even worth my effort. The 2 nanoseconds of effort to click one of those buttons. Never going to get a reply from it.
Yeah, I usually block these people, especially when they send me messages like this.
No, you got to start collecting them. This way we can freaking utilize them in upcoming segments of Statement Games Live.
So
it's all part of the show.
Okay. Yeah, right. So let's spin this now. We've taken the negative what not to do, and let's talk for a quick second. I've got a question, and this is looking more on the positive side. You're in sales, you're in the tech business, and all of that stuff. When you're coming from a position of like really trying to sell to a client, a potential client, obviously for me, I get the information of like, okay, so what does the client need for my service, for my product? But how do you go the next step and illustrate the results in a sales pitch other than just saying that you can make it happen? What are you looking for as a potential client when you need a resolution to something and, taking it past just like, I am a service provider that can do it. Like, how do you illustrate in your opinion?
How do you illustrate it? Look, every situation is going to be different. So I don't think there's a exact you should be doing this or you should be looking kind of like that. Every situation is different. The only way that I can kind of like answer that is how would it kind of like apply to me. If I am the person doing the selling, the first thing that I want to do is I want to open up some type of dialogue or have some type of communication that's going back and forth, that's giving me an opportunity to ask questions. If you can have the opportunity to ask questions here, you'll be surprised about how many people are open about what their challenges are. I'll be open on the show here. My biggest challenges, or one of the challenges that I'm constantly trying to overcome from a statement games perspective, is how do I get more people playing kind of like the game? Of course, there's different kind of elements of sales and sponsorships and things like that. But let's just kind of utilize it from an acquisition perspective of statement games here. If somebody came to me, and I'm telling everybody, if you want to sell to statement games, if you want to sell to me, if you do these exact steps here, you have my ear 100% right off the bat here. If you say, hey, you know what, hey, Mark, great to meet you, came across your profile through whatever. I can see that you're the CEO and founder of Statement Games. Great product, great site. Went to your app, website, whatever it is here, signed up for it. My username is Peter123. Had a chance to play in tournament XYZ contest 3 between the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics. Came in 4th place. Had such a great time doing it. I utilized your referral system and added 10 of my closest, sports buddies to the platform. And we're looking forward to playing, next Wednesday night's TNT basketball game of the week. And I think through the services of my company, which provides 1, 2, 3, I feel that I can help you replicate this process exponentially. I'd love 15 minutes of your time to show you how I can actually do it here. You got my attention. Yeah. You've demonstrated that you have an interest in who I am. You've demonstrated a knowledge of my product, which actually saves me time. You know how frustrating it is to me, and where, look, and we all do it. You got to take calls because you got to play the role here. Maybe somebody made an introduction and things like that here. And then actually in that first 15 minutes of the call here, you got to explain to them what it is that you actually do. They're trying to sell you something here, and I got to freaking explain to you what I actually do here. Take the initiative and understand what I'm doing, or at least take an educated guess at what I'm actually doing, and ask questions if you're having kind of problems. But that's the approach that I would actually take, especially if you're looking at it from a statement games perspective. It's demonstrate that you care. Demonstrate that you have an interest in what the person does. Step number 1 here. Step number 2 here. Understand, or at least take an educated freaking guess at what this person does on a day-to-day basis. If this person is a sales director, I'm coming at him with, hey, you know what? I got a way to actually help you increase sales. If I'm talking to a operations kind of management, things like that here, hey, I got a way to help you kind of reduce cost here. Take a look at what they're doing, and look, pull them up on LinkedIn. They're going to put a ton of information in their profile. They're going to tell you exactly what they're doing on a day-to-day basis and what they're interested in. It's your job as a sales guy to appreciate that, understand it, sympathize with it, and then propose a solution on how to help them do their job better. And that's how it attack.
Nice. All right.
Does that help?
Let's move on to the main event here. The making pick segment. Let's get back to some sports. And so who do we have slated for today, Mark?
We're going with tomorrow night. So we got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. It's the 5th seeded Baltimore Ravens traveling up to Orchard Park to take on the Buffalo Bills. I think they increased it this week here. I'm not sure if you saw anything like that, but I think it's close to 8,000 fans that are going to be allowed to watch the game. I'm sure if you're in the Buffalo area, I'm sure all the right protocols are being taken place here. I'm sure you're going to have to get to the game early and go through some type of rapid COVID test before they let you into the game. So if you're scoring a ticket or planning on attending the game here, just keep that in the back of your mind. But 2nd seeded Buffalo Bills, AFC divisional matchup. What I find fascinating about this game, you can see some snow. You got some snow in the forecast, about a 40% chance of snow. The initial forecast that I read was up to an inch, but I'm hopeful that weatherman is completely full of shit. I'm praying for a foot of snow just to make it's Buffalo. So this is playoff football. This is like a playoff game, outdoors. Buffalo, New York. Elements are a factor. You actually have a MVP quarterback. Give some inclinations. Maybe some signs that Superman is got some kryptonite, kind of like mojo, kind of flowing here. I believe the exact quote from Lamar Jackson was, that definitely would be my first time playing football in the snow Saturday, if it does snow, said Jackson. A native of Palm Beach, Florida. Pompano Beach, Florida. Am I saying that right? Pompano, right? Pompano Beach, Florida. But he's basically saying hopefully it doesn't here. So in my mind here, I'm thinking he's saying that he's a little scared of the snow here. He's scared of a little precipitation here.
Yeah, maybe. Could be. But
so we'll see. That's the build that I got for the game.
Nice. All right, so we're playing on Statement Games, obviously, and it is, you can go on Statement Games. Marc, do you want to talk a little bit about the game itself, like how to play Statement Games?
Sure, StatementGames.com, or find us in your favorite app store, Statement Games Fantasy Sports. We've invented a different form of daily fantasy football. What we do as an organization is we create games that are around specific sporting events. In this case, it's the Ravens versus the Bills. We're going to present you with anywhere between 50 to 60 props, game props, player props that are related to that Buffalo Bills Baltimore Ravens game. It's your job to take a look at the list and to pick 10 props. And as you make your 10 picks, you want to rank them in order of confidence from 10 through 1. So as that football game plays out, if your number 10 pick becomes correct, you get 10 points. If 9 through 1 are incorrect, well, just have a total of 10 points. You'll play in a league of anywhere between 8 to 12 people. The person with the most points from correct picks wins. 100% completely free-to-play game. Although it's free to play here, it's your job to win coins by finishing your first, second, and third in any of the games that you actually play in. Ultimately, over the course of time, you're building up a coins balance full of these virtual credits, and ultimately you want to exchange them for a cash reward of your choice. So have fun with a different form of fantasy football.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, this game is sponsored. This game features a new Statement Games partner. We want to welcome into the Labs podcast on Blue Collar Media, covering sports, updated news, trends, and analytics in the NBA and NFL. So glad to have a new sponsor for the show, for this segment, for this game. But kind of talking about, when you talk about our picks, there's a lot of people. I mean, you're starting to come for me. But what do you have to say for those outside? Because, I got to take it from you, but do I have to take it from everyone else out there?
No, you don't. Because obviously you have to just remember that, we are a team. Although people ain't coming to me. I mean, it's pretty hard to go after somebody that's picking at 83.3%. I mean, it's impossible. You basically need your, head examined, like Kyrie Irving or something like that, if that's the tact that you want to take with Statement Games Live here. But just understand, whether it's me or Nathan or the platform itself here, when you're messing with us, you're messing with.
All right, we're still working on getting that a little bit longer, but let's.
We're getting ready to push the envelope a little bit here. I think the YouTube police haven't come after us here, so we might have to just extend that song a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, are we allowed to kind of talk while the music was going on, or does the program it shuts us up here and brings the song to the forefront, and it goes from there, right?
Yes, it does. But let's get into this game here, brought to you by Into the Lab podcast. And so why don't you kick it off there, Marc, with your first pick?
I'm going to have to actually speak with somebody, but I think this is a complete mistake here. And I think I'm going to guarantee this one. I think everybody is just completely dumb if they don't jump on this pick here. If you take a look at what Buffalo has actually done in the past 5 games here, it's 4 games in which they're over 30 points at least here. Let's see here. January 3rd, 56 points against Miami, 38 points against New England.
They have a
they're
high
putting
powered
up points here. So but let's just go ahead. Let's lock in the Buffalo Bills offense over 26.5 points as my top and best pick of all freaking time.
Yeah, there you go. That's a lock. That is definitely a lock.
Let's just highlight it. You got to be all over that one. I don't know. You tell me. Am I wrong on this one here? I don't think so. But
no, I don't think so. And I think it feeds into my first pick, which is if Buffalo is going to score over 26.5, that means Baltimore is going to have to keep up. Snow, no snow. I think Baltimore still has to keep their offense going. And I think part of that is just going to be Lamar Jackson. And he's going to have to score between rushing and passing over 2.5 touchdowns.
all right. Well, I'm looking at it, whether or no weather here. Until I am proven wrong, I'm going to keep riding it. But he's just playing at a completely different level. Rooting for him. Big fan here. So enough of the build-up here. Just go ahead and lock in. Josh Allen over 275.5 yards passing this Saturday night.
There it is. Yeah. No, I really like Josh Allen, what he's been putting together this year. And so, okay, we're talking about, yeah, maybe the weather might come and become a factor, but we're still dealing with two high-powered offenses. And if Lamar Jackson's going to put up 2.5 touchdowns and the Buffalo Bills are going to go over 26.5, the total points of this is going to have to be over 50.5. So I'm locking it in. Total points. Oh, that's the wrong one. There it is. Total points over 50.5.
All right, I'm gambling a little bit, on this one here, and we've talked about this pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to change up my pick. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction from my third one, and if Buffalo has the ability to put up points here, and they have the ability to potentially get out a little bit early here, I think Baltimore's actually proven here. They're not a come-from-behind team.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like Buffalo this week. I don't really like picking, straight up winners of games here, just because statement games, we have so many different props and things like that for people to have fun with here. But again, I have a little bit of a personal bias towards Baltimore. We'll get into that in future shows. I mean, it's actually some pretty good. Make a long story short, I used to work for Stephen Bisciotti. So obviously Stephen Bisciotti is the owner of the Ravens, and We'll get into some of my stories later on in the show. But I hate the Ravens. I also, hate the fact that they beat my Giants in that Super Bowl that one year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate them as much as the Philadelphia Eagles, but nonetheless, I still hate them. And for that reason and that reason only, let's just go right ahead. And let's see here. Let's lay the 2.5 points. Buffalo Bills will win over 2.5 points.
All righty. There it is. All right. So we're talking Lamar Jackson keeping up with the Bills' high-powered offense. He's an high-powered offense. And I'm going to say the Ravens are going to go over 24.5 points. Now, I don't have the same hate for the Ravens that Marc does, but I do really like the Bills, and I like the chance for this game to be both high scoring and for the Bills to come out on top. So I think all of this really aligns with where I am at with this game. But I'll fill out the last four off.
Yeah, let me just stick one more pick in there, especially if you're throwing on the last four here. I definitely want to keep it because we're all playing as a team this one here. I definitely want that Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs over 13.5 receptions as part of one of our bottom four picks as well.
There we go.
No snow. This is a team that knows how to move the ball. I don't think that the weather, even if it does come snow or anything like that, will have a problem moving the ball. Love that combo between Allen and Diggs. And Beasley is quickly becoming my most favorite underrated slot receiver in football history.
So just to be clear, this
not the league in football history.
This pick is going to count.
No, it's not. It doesn't count.
Okay.
No, it's just. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I just want. I mean, look, I want to win another contest here as as the team. The more that we win, we
right.
prevent some of these other freaking suckers that we're playing against from, capturing some coins here and then using those coins to deplete the Statement Games, rewards account with cash of cash.
Yeah.
Let's keep it in the fam. Let's keep it in house.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, again, we're still working on the Statement Games Live account, but for right now, if you see Nathan Ryder, you are playing against us, and that is, make sure you're watching the show and playing in the contest with us, and beat us, and tell us what you think about our picks in the comments section, like the show, all of that stuff. But yeah, we're gonna save that and put up the last 3 picks here after the show. But in the end, make sure you're following on all social media at Statement Games. Subscribe to the YouTube channel where you're watching this, and of course, play statementgame.com and download the app and play on your phone. What do you got for part of wisdom?
I mean, I'm just kind of looking forward to like the games this weekend. Look, I got to get my Rangers kind of back on stride here. So we dropped a kind of a tough one yesterday to the Islanders. So parting wisdom is, hey, look, you know what? Let's get the Rangers back on stride here. Really looking forward to the old fart ball on Sunday night between Brady and Breeze. So that should kind of be interesting.
Yeah.
Other than that, just stay safe. God bless. We'll see you next week. That's all I got. I think jabbered on enough for one episode. It looks like we're coming up on like an hour and 20 minutes. I think people have heard enough about me, yap, and we'll let them go. We'll catch up with them next week.
Sounds good. Looking forward to the slate of games this weekend. And Marc, I'll see you next week.
All right, catch you next week. Take care.